This is the Colonial's Football Pregame Show, exclusively on CITV. And now, here's your host, Haiden Haley.
Welcome to the Colonial's Football Pregame Show. In local sports news for this week, the Sixers had their season opener on Tuesday at Boston, where they lost 126-117. Embiid had a 26-point double-double, and Haiden had 35 points, which hasn't happened in what seems like forever. And Glenn Rivers still is not going deep into his bench as he only played 9 different players. Philly is the proud owner of 2 undefeated teams as the Birds go into the bye week at 6-0 after a game that had a roller coaster's worth of emotions on Sunday Night Football at home. The Flyers are surprisingly the other undefeated team in Philadelphia as they won at Tampa Bay 3-2 in regulation after a nice comeback in the third period. And finally, the Phillies are continuing Red October as they won last night in San Diego and lead the NLCS 1-0. They play Game 2 tonight. And for the first time in 11 years, all 4 Philly teams play a game within the same week. And in case you've been keeping track, I was off again last week in my final score prediction. Now, speaking of last week's game, let's break it down right now. On Friday, the Colonials played in their 3rd divisional game of the season at home against Springfield Township. The game was over before halftime as PW proved to be a problem for the physical Spartans all game long. O'Brien got the party started with a 53-yard rushing touchdown up the far sideline. AOB also threw for 2 touchdowns that were at least 50 yards long. Luke Winterbottom played very solid as well, as he had 2 25-yard rushing touchdowns along the right sideline. Savay Sproul had a receiving touchdown and went 6 for 6 on extra points. The Colonials' defense played at an all-time elite level, recording 1 interception and got to the quarterback multiple times. The Spartans scored 13 points, which is the most points the Colonials have let up in 5 weeks. It was all smiles at the end, however, as the Colonials won 42-13 and remain in the race for the divisional crown. Now this week, I got an interview about last week's game from the offensive line coach, Coach Fry. Now here's that audio now. What was the most significant change you guys made to flip your record from 1-2 to 6-2?
So the most significant change that we made to flip that record and kind of flip the switch on our team is we still had some missing pieces. We didn't have a couple guys where they're playing now. The switch for Savay Sproul to be out to our wide receiver position and Nazai Boggs to be at our other running back position were 2 major pieces that came together. And those were 2 tough losses. Those were 2 tough games against 6A opponents within CB South and Ridley. They're both playing pretty well this year. So once we got into to our league schedule, we started rolling with those guys at their positions. Everybody started becoming comfortable with what they were doing, and we just began to click. So I think that was the biggest factor in us.
What kind of plays did you guys run to attack Springfield's physicality on Friday?
So Springfield was kind of trying to stack the box, which a lot of teams try to do. However, our strength this year has been running our triple option out to the outside. We also hit Springfield a couple times across the middle of the field. We hit some long plays down the field, and that's because of all the moving pieces in our offense. You have to game plan for so many different things. The run up the middle, the outside, the toss, the jet sweeps, and then we could throw the ball right down the middle of the field too. So I think that's where we got them the best.
All of your wins this season have been won by scoring at least 5 touchdowns, with the opposing team scoring under 2 touchdowns. Any comment on that?
Our offense has been playing well. Our offensive line's been blocking as best as they can, obviously, since the first couple weeks of the season where they struggled a little bit. Our defense is playing well. Our linebackers make great plays. Our defense, our coaching, we make great adjustments. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, Coach Fry talks about the pieces that the Colonials added mid-season, like really only over the past couple of weeks. And the biggest one to me has got to be moving around Savay Sproul and Nazai Boggs. I didn't actually know this. Nazai was supposed to be in the slot, and they've now moved him into the backfield, although he's playing very well at both positions. Savay, however, was the longtime kicker for the Colonials and is putting his legs to good use besides just kicking, and the fact that he's able to run these go routes that Aiden O'Brien just loves to throw, and was a big replacement for the seniors that we lost to last year. He's been playing really well, scoring 3 touchdowns in what seems like only 5 weeks, and they've all been very long. They've been like 80-yard touchdowns, and he just seems to be untouchable on those go routes. Something I will have to criticize, though, speaking of routes, is still, I just feel like they could be more creative instead of just running these flies and, just the straight, easy routes to read if you're a corner. We talked about last week how the Colonials very well could make it into the second and third round of the playoffs, which would be amazing. But how long will they really last? Like, will it be a good game, or will it just be a blowout in the first quarter? And that's the thing that's going to set them apart. I really feel like I'm just kind of repeating myself here, but it's too important to miss, is that they should start to be creative with these easy games in preparation for Upper Moreland and the playoffs, because they're going to be too predictable. However, I think fans should be okay with if O'Brien can accurately make the pass on the go route. But again, if the route's not there, he's not very good scrambling. I mean, he's good scrambling and running, but not kind of outside the pocket. So that just leads me to think that, how are they going to be able to combine the throwing and the passing? I mean, not the throwing and the passing, but the throwing and the running with this very mobile offense that they run. Now we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere. Still lots more to come.
Emergency alert. Supercell storm incoming. Due to approaching supercell storm, all residents of the following areas must seek shelter immediately. The areas under alert are as follows.
Mom, are we going to be okay?
Yes, honey. I promise we're gonna be alright.
If this is the future you want for your child, please turn off the radio immediately. If otherwise, please consider bringing your child to Earth and Environmental Science Day at Wilkes University, October 21st, 2022, from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. This day will give you and your high school students the opportunity to join our faculty experts for hands-on labs and presentations. Space is limited, so make sure to register online before October 17th at wilkes.edu/EESday. If you have further questions, contact 570-408-4604.
And now, back to the Colonials football pregame show with your host, Haiden Haley, only on CITV.
Welcome back to the second half of today's show. The Colonials play their final regular season home game of the season against Wissahickon High School on Friday. Last time these teams met, they squared off at Colonial Field on a very rainy senior night for the last regular season game in 2021. Kind of funny. The Colonials controlled the game from the get-go as they won the game by 7 touchdowns. Now, I'd like to talk about a improved Trojans team, but that's really not the case. Wissahickon hasn't been good at football for what seems like forever. However, I wouldn't count them out. They do have very good athletes. They're known for lacrosse and basketball, and you have to be a very good athlete to play those sports. That's all I'll say about that. Now, going to last week, when I talked about the Colonials' mental strength, this is really where it's going to show up, because sometimes you see it with pro sports and college sports, and it's really a shame when you see a good team that's playing for their season, but they lose in an upset that cost them the season. And that could be one of those games for the Colonials, as they have beaten Wissahickon for a number of years now. Probably this has got to be their 5th or 6th time consecutive. And, you just really hate to see it all go to waste. However, I did get to speak when I spoke with Coach Fry and Nate Massio. They both said how, they really just stay on a schedule and they go in week by week and they try to take care of business best they can, which is what you want to hear. However, we won't really know till late Friday night what the outcome is, so go Colonials until then. Now, I also got a chance to speak with the left tackle, Nate Massio, so let's listen in. You guys are currently on a 5-game win streak. Any comment on that?
That's just us. I mean, that's PW football. We showed early in the beginning of the games and recent games how much we can click and how good our offense can be when we're moving the ball. and that's just the beginning of us. I feel like we're just going to continue to excel and get better throughout the season.
Friday, you're at home, under the lights. Describe the importance for any team of winning their homecoming game.
I feel like that builds your ego sort of way. We're not the team to get fat heads, big heads, and let our ego get in the way of us, but I think winning our homecoming game definitely boosted our morale. It's definitely going to keep us rolling and help us build our chemistry up throughout the rest of our games. So
it's your final home game of the regular season this Friday. Do you guys plan on doing anything special or that we haven't already seen yet this season to go out large?
No, we're just going to keep it simple, keep what we've been doing, and so what's been working. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I feel like we're just going to keep doing the same old thing, and we're going to come out on top.
Thank you, Nate. Good luck.
Thank you.
That was some nice insight there by Nate. It was really good to get a chance to talk to him over these past couple of weeks. And I heard from the tight end, Jared Colson, that the Colonials have a special play, which is based off of the Philly special. As you could see, I tried to work that out in Nate, but he just didn't break. Now, I think I'm going to have to take the Colonials in this one on Friday with a final score of 52-6. I think the Colonials would continue their hot streak of scoring at least 5 touchdowns per game over these last 5 games. I think PW will make light work of this very inexperienced and just plain bad Trojans team. I'd be very surprised if the Wussy Chickens come out on top, because to me that would just show that PW did not come to play, which would be very disappointing. Now, we won't really know the outcome until late Friday night at around 10 p.m., so stay tuned as we will be covering that game, so make sure you watch the Colonials take on the Trojans only on PWHS Sports Live. Kickoff starts at 7. Now, that's all the time we have for today. Remember to send me your sports hot takes so I can discuss them on the show. I'll make sure to leave an email or something down there in the description. Thank you all for listening, though. I hope you enjoyed. And from Plymouth White Marsh High School in the CITV studios, this is Haiden Haley signing off.